Right, hello friends. It's Andy here. We're going through Ruth chapter 3 today on this wet slurpy day. So yeah, I'm not going to usually do this, but I've given Ruth chapter 3 a name. I'm gonna call it The Plan and the Execution, because that's what happened. I think that what happens in the beginning of the chapter is Naomi sets for Ruth a plan. I don't know what she must have been thinking, but I know that part of what she was thinking was, look, what's been going on with you and Boaz so far has been real cute, and it's been really nice. He's been giving you lots of food, and you guys have been talking, and you know, quite adorable. But we are not spring chickens. We are old widows. And you need a husband, and I need my land. So I mentioned this in the previous chapter, but Naomi said that Boaz is one of our redeemers. I didn't explain exactly what that means. He is what it essentially means is that he's probably the second cousin of Ruth's first husband. So what this means is, I guess it's a little hard to explain, but what it means is, back in the day, women couldn't own land. Only the men owned the land. And if all the men in the family died, nobody could own the land. It didn't belong to anybody. But that land could be redeemed if, what usually happens if a woman's husband dies, she loses all of her land. But it can be redeemed in the family if the wife, if the girl marries her husband's brother. So that's usually what happened. It was a good system for keeping widows from just, you know, dying because people would want the land. People would want the land, but they, you know, may not want to pay to feed another woman. Anyways, so Naomi comes up with this plan. And she says, I want you to go over there to the threshing floor, and I want you to wait until he's ate and drank, and you know, it's like a special harvest. What they would do is they would get the barley, and there would be, you know, they would kind of throw it up in the air, and the wind would carry the parts that you don't need, and the parts that you do need would just fall down. And so it was a way of like dividing, you know, the good parts from the bad part from the crop. Anyways, you know, big festival, they would eat and they would drink and they would sleep outside. So she says, go to where he's sleeping, uncover his feet, and lie down by his feet. So Ruth says, look, everything you'll say, I'm gonna do it, because I know that we're in big trouble if I don't have a husband, and we're in big trouble if we don't have any land. So she goes, and this is a very risky thing to do. Like, how can you trust anybody so much? Essentially, she's like, you know, like, not crawling into bed with them, but I mean, essentially, it's pretty close to that. You know, there's a lot of ways that this can go bad. It's a very vulnerable thing to do. And so she does it. She uncovers his feet, and he's like, what? Who's there? And she says, it's me, it's Ruth, it's your servant. And she said something kind of clever. She said, why don't you put the corner of your garment over me, because you're my kinsman redeemer. Essentially, it's kind of a play on words a little bit. The cover of your garment, another way of saying it is like, another way it can be translated is, why don't you put me under your wing? Or why don't you get me covered? You know, why don't you cover me? So that, and she's doing it on purpose. She's like, why don't you cover me? Why don't you put me under your wing? She's saying literally and figuratively, why don't you put me under your cover? Because you're my kinsman redeemer. Essentially, she's saying, will you marry me? She's not proposing, but she's saying, why don't you marry me? And I think this is also a very, very important thing to say, is that Boaz in this story, he is a type. This is something that happens a lot in the Old Testament. This is Old Testament typology. It's showing that Boaz is a pre-sign of Jesus. He is someone that God uses to show people what the Messiah is going to be like, what Jesus is going to be to us in the future. So it's very clear that Boaz is a type. He is one of these things that point to Jesus. And like us in our relationship with Jesus, we are completely destitute without him. We have not any chance of survival. We absolutely need Jesus. We need him very badly. But what's amazing to me, and this is another aspect of the typology, is that when she says that, and this could have gone either way, but when she says, you know, I want you to ask me to marry you, he says, I'm just so overjoyed. Like, bless you for not choosing someone else. And I think that's amazing. I think that God does that to us. You know, we need God more than anything. But when we come to him and we ask him to be in our lives, God is just so delighted with us. So he said, lay there until the morning. It's pretty clear that nothing happened, you know, nothing sexually happened here. But he said, you know, I'm going to take care of this tomorrow. There's a cousin that's closer, which is why I think that he's the second cousin. You know, you have another cousin. And so, you know, I'll take care of this. So that's how it ends for this chapter. So, all right, next chapter tomorrow.